Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Okay, let me know if you guys can hear and see. Can't seem to get the chat box up for some reason on the screen. But yeah, so let me know inshallah if you guys can hear, if you guys can see, and inshallah we can start. Again, because of technical issues, I think this started a bit late for some reason. So let me know if you guys can hear, if the sound's working properly, if it's coming through. 1 2 3 testing. Is it working? Let's see if I can get this chat box up and running. Ya Allah. So basically what happened was I messed up the settings, and hopefully they should be fixed in a sec. Let me see. Capture. Okay, I can't seem to get it up, but it doesn't matter. I'll just have to sort it out next time, inshallah. Okay, I think have I got it? Have I not got it? Okay, I think I've got it. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's start with the questions then. Hope all you guys are okay, doing well. Ya Allah. Right, now I can see your questions. Okay, so أهلا وسهلا وعليكم السلام اس حسين أنجل سميث أهلا وسهلا أم عبد وعليكم السلام طلحة چودري أكيل أحمد وعليكم السلام أولوكا بتاوس وعليكم السلام. Did I get them shukr? No, actually got it from Amson's. Yeah, it's actually from Amson's, this is. Okay, so okay, this is not done. Right, it should be done now. Walaikum assalam MP, walaikum assalam SMB. Alright, so let's have a look at these questions. Remember guys, questions, I'm only really going to be answering questions I'm only going to be answering questions which are related to Ramadan, Quran, usual kind of stuff. So I won't be answering questions if you're asking me about capital punishment or asking if aliens have to follow Islam or these kind of things. Alright, so it's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, so this was regarding the salbutamol inhaler. Does that break fast or not? So if it involves, which is what the question seems to be saying, it's an aerosol that's used to inhale through the mouth and which goes into the lungs, causing so this would break fast. Yeah, because it's contains particles. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. I usually recite the Ma'thurat as my morning and evening azkar. This contains some Quran, Fatiha, some portions of Baqarah, 4 quls, etc. Can I still recite these whilst I'm on period? Or should I avoid the Quran portion and only recite dua? So some of the scholars have allowed for women to recite these if they're doing it, because it's for some sort of protection from some sihr or anything like that. So some of them have allowed it, but others have said no. You can only recite if it's to do with teaching and learning Quran. As in, you can only recite the Quran, like bits of it, in that way. Or what you can possibly do is recite the translation of it. So reciting the translation would be the other option. So one option is take the position of those scholars who say it's allowed if it's for protection or protecting oneself from bad things. The other would be not to recite it, and the third would be just recite translation of it. Salam Ustad, wanted to know whether you can give zakat towards building wells or water pumps. So the ruling is zakat has to be given to a human being. So if you're giving zakat for building a pump and it goes to the pump or the well is going to belong to a human being, right, then that's allowed. Right, so let's say for example there's a guy called Ahmed and he lives in a village, and you send you zakat money for the well or the pump to be built, and it's going to belong to him, it's going to be his, and he's poor, then that's fine. But if it's just built as part of the infrastructure of a village and no one really owns it, the government owns it, then no, it won't be allowed. So it has to go to a particular individual. Wa alaikum assalam. I usually get bleeding gums, especially when my mouth is dry. If I accidentally swallow the blood bleeding from my gums, does that break fast? No, not necessarily, unless the blood is a lot. If it's a lot of blood, like about a teaspoon or something like that, then I would say that would break wudu. If it's just a little bit, you can't even tell, then it's fine. It wouldn't break the wudu. Okay, let's check out some questions here. What is the Eid present for wife? Any ideas from yourself or your listeners? I'm the wrong person to ask. Yeah, about buying gifts for people. But maybe on the list someone can mention something to do with that. Okay. Alright, let's check another one then. SMB. Should I do part-time hifz and alim together? Find it hard to decide. No, don't do both. Yeah, either do one or the other. I would say don't do both, because hifz requires dedication, pure dedication to memorization. And I've seen a lot of times, I mean, I try to do it myself, where I try to attempt to memorize the Quran and do my alim course, and I managed to memorize about 5 juz, but it was very difficult after that because it required a lot of effort to retain the hifz. That's a problem. A lot of people don't realize memorization is one thing, but then retaining the hifz is another thing. Okay. And Talha Chaudhry, what is the ruling on taking inhalers and nasal sprays whilst fasting? So I've answered that one. Breaks fast. 95 grade. Is there a reason why Prophet Ibrahim's name is written in a certain way in the Meccan surahs? I have no idea. Wallahu alam. And plus, I'm only going to be answering questions which are related to this topic. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert in font, in Arabic font. So maybe you can ask someone about that. Or maybe I'll have to look into tafseers and at the moment. So maybe after Ramadan sometime, ask me inshallah after Ramadan. Sayyid Rayhan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. How come these questions over here are half missing, aren't they? They were like shortening these or something. I can't seem to get these. Okay, then we have to sort that out next time. Okay, HK Mufti, what is the fard of ghusl? 3 fard of ghusl according to the Hanafis. You wash your mouth out thoroughly, wash your nose out thoroughly, you wash your entire body, not leaving any part dry. We'll look about that. What are the rulings of Eid Salah in the home? There is no Eid Salah at home. No, you don't do Eid Salah at home. So if there's no Eid Salat, there's no Eid Salat. Right? So it doesn't mean that there has to be an Eid Salat. It just means that there's going to be no Eid Salat, and there's no substitute for it. Right? So unlike Jummah, when there's no Jummah, there's a substitute which is Dhuhr. But for Eid, there is no, because again, Eid is a public event. It's supposed to be a public event, and if you pray in your home, it's not a public event anymore. It's a sort of like a family, personal sort of thing. Why in the Quran Allah refers to himself as we, or like punishment from us? So this is to do with understanding the Arabic language. It's just like, for example, if you go to your boss and your boss says to you, we'll think about it. It's called royal addressing or something like that. Yeah, where someone of a high status speaks and they speak in the plural. Yeah, it's just a style of language in Arabic, and in English as well. You get it. Nickname, wa alaikum assalam. What's the hukum of moon sighting, that local, global? Both are valid. Both are totally valid. Abu Hanifa's position was on global. Regarding the positive jealousy video, isn't the best type of jealousy to want it for yourself and want Allah to continue giving it to the other person? Possibly. Yeah, possibly. I mean, the reason I didn't break it down into all different types, because the aim of the video is not to educate at that level. It's not to go to like really advanced. So I know you're probably trying to find out all the different types of jealousy, about 20 types of jealousy or whatever. That's not really kind of the aim of the hadith. Is not to kind of go into those details. The aim of the hadith is just to tell people about the virtue of spending in the path of Allah and reading and learning the Quran. So wanting something for someone else and then wanting it for yourself, wanting more for someone else, that's another one, and wanting the same for yourself as well, or wanting better for someone else. There's like so many scenarios you can pull out of that. Muhammad Raqibul Sheikh, what is the meaning of the Arabic word I don't know, dah'ah? If you can spell it in Arabic, if you can write in Arabic. Omar Shahid, wa alaikum salam. If someone leaves Taraweeh every day, is he sinful? Because some Imam Hanafi say it is haram to leave it every day. No, it's not haram to leave it every day. For something to be haram, you have to have a categorically strong evidence. There's no categorically strong evidence that praying Taraweeh is necessary. Right, Taraweeh is highly recommended. It's Sunnah Muakkada, and a person prays it, then it's very good. But if a person belittles it, that's when it becomes sinful. Like if a person belittles it, as in they say it has no value at all. So if someone belittles it, that can lead to it being haram. Zakiya Saida, can you give some tips on hifth? Yeah, so tips on hifth, I would say use the same mushaf, same Quran, memorize it at the same time in the day, sit in the same place in your house or in the masjid or in the wherever you're going to memorize it, and use the same technique for memorization. So the key to memorization is consistency. Everything has to be consistent, right? That's how human mind usually picks things up. It likes consistency. Did doing an alim course help you with hifth or memorizing? I don't know. I mean, I'm not hafiz of Quran, but I mean, the way I memorize things may be different from how you memorize things, right? So, for example, the way I memorize things is I try to memorize key things in the sentence, like several key things. If it's a long sentence, several key things, and then the rest of I try to kind of recall the rest of it. That's how I try to memorize things, and I try to write things down. I record my own voice saying that sentence, and then I listen to it again and again and again. So I've got my own sort of strange techniques of memorization. But yeah, that's basically another way I memorize is, like, for example, if it's depending what it is, if it's a fiqh text, I'll try to look at what different people have said about that fiqh text, and because I keep going over it again and again and again, and I'm going over it with understanding, then it tends to retain better in my memory. London, we sit as a family and greatly benefit from Mullah Liqari, Quran, Hadith, Jazakallah khair. Afterwards, maybe you can do Imam Nawawi's 40 Hadith. Maybe, yeah. Might be a good idea. So, yeah. I don't have Imam Nawawi's 40 Hadith with me. I'm going to try to look for a good copy, inshallah. I'm ordering it. And I'm trying to look for a small one that can fit in the screen as well. So, inshallah, yeah, definitely. That would be a good idea. Alhamdulillah, I mean, I didn't know that families would be sitting and listening to the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ. Alhamdulillah, may Allah accept it. Sufyan, wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan, Sufyan. Okay, let's have a look at this. Alright. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti Sahab. May Allah reward you for answering my questions, and I'm finding much benefit from your platform. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair. I would like to know if I can purchase a laptop under a 12-month no interest fee agreement. I want to pay off in 3 to 4 installments, but not sure if it's permissible to do this, as after 12 months there will be an interest charge on any balance that remains. However, I do hope to pay off in less than 6 months max, inshallah ta'ala. Yes, that will be permissible. Yeah, because you are not going into the interest agreement. You're not going into interest. So although you've agreed on the paper that you would pay interest, but because you have already kind of like decided that you're not going to go into interest, then as long as you are not delaying the payments beyond the mentioned stipulated time, then it would be permissible. I wouldn't see a problem with that. It's the same with the credit cards as well, credit cards as well, where they tell you that if you pay off within a certain time, no interest, and if you pay off after that, then there's interest. Assalamu alaikum. I have read hadith about how a pious child can benefit the deceased parents through Isal Thawab, praying, dua, charity, etc. Can other family and friends pass the reward onto them through Isal Thawab, as I haven't come across any mention of this in any hadith. They only ever mention the child doing it. Yes, you can. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so a person can. So there's other hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentions about a person benefiting other people as well. So this is also something which is found in Quran, as in found with regards to Hajj, found with regards to Umrah, Dua, right? So the Malikis and the Shafis generally say that you can only do Isal Thawab in these 3 things: charity, Hajj, Umrah, and Dua. Yeah, that's it. Whereas the others, Hanafis and Hanbalis, they say no, Isal Thawab can be done in more things. In other words, anything that you can get reward for yourself, you can relay that reward to other people as well, right? So, even studying even. I know practices where many wider family members read Quran collectively and do dua for the deceased, and also when people get madrasa children to pray Quran and then give the children back in Pakistan. Can you please clarify with a bit more detail if and how these are accepted? Yes, they're fine. According to Hanafis and according to for charity, obviously everyone would say it's fine because you're giving a form of charity to people, and Hanafis and Hanbalis would have no issue with this. Yeah, Isal Thawab. There's actually a good book. Do I have it over here? It's somewhere. I'll try to find it. Maybe I'll put it on social media. Yeah, I'll try to find it. Put it on social media. Yeah, it's written by one of my friends, Sheikh Shahrul. I can't seem to see it now. Yeah, it's I forgot what it's called. I think it's does anything reach the deceased if someone passes away or something like that. Okay. Let's check your guys' questions out. I wonder why this chat box does not work. I'm quite surprised at this. Okay, right. Let's check out your questions. Shadi Mufti Sahab, I have a question. I had an internet adapter by which you can use internet in computer, but my friend wanted it and I gave it to him permanently. So will I get a sin if he watches? Internet adapter. No, it's fine. I mean, if you give someone internet, it's fine. Possibly even rewarding, helping someone. However they use it, if they use it to watch wrong things, then that's their sin. That sin won't be upon you, because the object can be used for multiple purposes. So if you give someone something and it has multiple functions, right, you won't be sinful for giving. But if you give someone, like for example, alcohol, then you'd be sinful for that. Adil Iqbal, wa alaikum assalam. Adil, ahlan wa sahlan. When listening to the Quran in the car, if ayah come with a sujood, do we have to do sajda when you come to listen? No, according to Hanafis, you do not have to do sajda tilawa on something which is not live, like in the gathering, like you're live hearing it. Anything which is recorded or played on the radio, etc., there'll be no sajda tilawa for that. Sherry, Talha, is it permissible to use toothpaste to clean teeth whilst fasting in Hanafi? Yes, you can use it. It's allowed. But if you fear that you're going to swallow it, then it's considered to be makruh. Right. So what I would suggest is put your head down, put toothpaste on your tooth. Don't put too much toothpaste on there. Brush your teeth, and then just spit it out. Right. So don't if you're going to do like some crazy brushing and go all mad or something and brush going everywhere and down your throat, and then I would suggest you don't do it. Just try to brush your teeth softly, lightly. How long does it take to be Hafiz? Does it make Alim course easier? It depends how good memory. I've seen people who have memorized the whole Quran in 6 months. I've seen people who memorized in 2 years. I've seen people who memorized it in 4 years. I've seen people who memorized 8 years. It all depends upon memory as well. It's a big commitment. So some people, are very good in memory. It's just got a natural gift. Some people, unfortunately, don't have that gift. So, so that's that. Okay. Next. I always get stuck with this name. Erdberchan. I have a question regarding Taraweeh. Are the 20 rakats to be prayed after the Isha prayer or before the witr of the Isha prayer? So Taraweeh is supposed to be prayed after Isha, before witr. So if you pray in the early part of the night, it's good. Middle part of the night is good. Later part of the night is good. It's fine. So Taraweeh is prayed after Isha, before witr. Nickname. What's the ruling on tawassul? So, Allah. So I explained this in the 3 Dates podcast. So if you watched our 3 Dates podcast on Thursday, I've explained this over there. Abdul Rahman, what about the lessons of learning Quran? What about the lessons of learning Quran? I don't understand. Do you have a specific question about it? Hassan, wa alaikum assalam. Hassan, Saab, Sanga Chalde, Khair De. Do you use colored pens to aid memorization as well? Yes, definitely. Colored pens, highlighting, all these kind of things that will stick in my head. Because remember, memorization is basically you trying to work out how your brain stores information. So everyone's brain might be slightly different in how they store information. Usually people store information best when they're emotionally charged. So when you're emotionally kind of like really happy or really sad, that's when you kind of, strange, but you remember lots of things, right? So when you had like a very traumatic incident, you remember lots of stuff. Or for example, when you're very happy, and so there's kind of different states that people, different times of the day as well. Early time of the day before breakfast is a very good time for memorization, especially tahajjud time. Very good for memorization. Mind's clear, information's absorbed very quickly. Omar Shahid, Sheikh, can you explain the ruling about 18 degrees and 15 degrees, because many Muslims are confused about this? Yes, inshallah, I'm going to make a video about that. So the 15 degrees, 18 degrees, I'll make a video inshallah about this. Zakia, are you going to do more advanced Arabic grammar courses on your website, including advanced level for other sciences as well, for example, usul fiqh, tafsir? So yes, inshallah. So Arabic grammar, basically for my patrons, if you're a patron, you basically get access to many of the advanced things I'm doing anyway. So like Nukhbatul Fikr, Muqaddam ibn Salah, Qatr al-Nada, Usul al-Shashi, right? These are some of the books that I put up for my patrons. But yes, hopefully, the long-term idea is for me to do very advanced things, inshallah. If someone has seminal problems that comes out consecutively, as in daily, will it break the fast? No, only if a person was to masturbate, have an orgasm. If a person has an orgasm, then it would necessitate, otherwise it wouldn't. Mushfiq Ahmad, what is the best sharh for Kitab at-Tawheed in your opinion? I don't know. I haven't really read too many commentaries on that. Is wudu valid whilst wearing makeup? Does it need to be removed for the wudu to be valid? Not necessarily, no. So if makeup is causing a crust, like a thick crust, right? And I don't think women wear that much makeup, unless they're like really kind of crazy kind of style makeup they've got. But if it's just like resembles a kind of cream or some sort of thing that goes around the contours of the skin, and it's not water impermeable, then it's fine. So most makeups, I think they fall under that, and it would be fine. But if there is a certain type of makeup which is non-water permeable, it's resistant to water, and it stops the water clearly from getting underneath, then that would have to be removed. Like, for example, nail varnish. MP, is it verified that on the 17th of Ramadan, Hadrat Aisha radiallahu anha passed away and the Battle of Badr took place? I don't know about Aisha radiallahu anha's demise. She died in roughly, I think it was year 58, 59. I can't remember which one. And Battle of Badr, yes, most likely, yeah, because that's what a lot of the books mention. That it was on the 17th of Ramadan. Will the beast mentioned in hadith appear in this world or in the hereafter? Although this has got nothing to do with Ramadan, so I did say I'm not going to be answering non-Ramadan questions, so you'll have to answer this after Ramadan, inshallah. Is it halal to eat seafood like octopus after? Okay, because it's eating, according to Hanafis, no. What was the food of Nuh alayhi salam a global flood or just local one? We don't know. No one has an idea of it. The Quran doesn't tell us it was a global flood. The Quran just says that flood came. Now, to me, it doesn't really matter. As in, whether it was a global or whether it was a local flood, doesn't really matter, because whatever happened, if there were other people living on the earth at that time, it's not really going to affect us, right? We just have to take the lessons that the Quran tells us. I think the problem with a lot of people who approach these kind of past stories is they want to know too many details. And the Quran deliberately withholds lots of details from us, historic details, because we don't need to know them. But then people ask questions like, how many children Nuh alayhi salam have? What were their names? What were their colors? Did the son of Nuh alayhi salam become the father of the Africans, and one became the father of the Arabs? And there's no sort of evidence to kind of really corroborate this, authentic evidence. So this is why I think a lot of people, they like to kind of look into the detailed nitty-gritty kind of things. And to me, it doesn't really make a difference of whether the flood was global or whether it was just a localized flood. The point is, the Quran is speaking the truth. Whatever the Quran says about any incident in the Quran, any past historic incident, it's just telling you what you need to know for guidance. That's what it's telling us. So I don't know, there's no evidence to prove either way that it was a global, and this is why you're going to get ikhtilaf in this. It's like, in Surah Al-Kahf, where Allah says, سَيَقُولُونَ ثَلَاثَةٌ رَابِعُهُمْ كَلْبُهُم. Some people are going to come out and say there were four people and the fifth was a dog. وَيَقُولُونَ خَمْسَةٌ سَادِسُهُمْ. And some will say, there were 5 and 6 was a dog. وَيَقُولُنَ سَبْعَةٌ وَثَامِنُ كَلْبُهُم. And some will say, no, there were 7 of them and 8. In other words, it's like, does it really matter if there were 4 of them? Or does it matter if there were 6 of them? Does it matter if there were, it doesn't really matter, does it? قُلْ رَبِّي أَعْلَمُ بِإِدَّتِهِمْ. Allah, my Lord, knows how many there were. Allah knows how many there were. Right? So this is where a lot of people, they start to kind of go into conspiracy theories, and then unfortunately a lot of people get deterred from Islam because of these kind of people arguing over things that are not really important. Aliyu, is this statement shirk? The speed force is very cosmic force that pushes time forward. No, it's not a shirky statement. 100k subscribers, translate the chapter of Salah from Ibn Abidin's Radd al-Muhtar. Allah. Salah, you know how big it is? That is massive, that is. It's going to have to be something more realistic. Side note, and yeah, so 100k subscribers, inshallah. If I get 100k subscribers, let me know what I should do. Yeah, put in the comments, inshallah. Alright, let's check out some questions here. Can one change riwayah in one rak'ah of salat? Scholars say it's disliked. Yeah, it's considered to be disliked. Although the salat may be valid, it will be disliked. If someone recites from two places of Quran in a single rakat, do they have to read A'udhu Billah or Bismillah between? No. According to Hanafis, saying Bismillah is only considered to be sunnah at the beginning of Fatiha. After that, it's not considered. Right, so you don't have to say after that again. Okay. So this was I'm trying to catch up with all of your live session recording. Please make dua. I try to take notes, because of which I am very behind and slow. I have a question from one of your sessions. You mentioned that missing ta'dil arkan in ruku and sajda sahw will compensate for it, but if one missed in getting up from ruku or sitting in between two sajda sahw won't compensate. Then I replied, sorry, I checked this timestamp, because they mentioned a timestamp. The ruling according to Hanafis is that ta'dil arkan, wherever it occurs, i.e. ruku, sujud, qiyam, etc., is not fard. Okay, I mean, see, this kind of question, I mean, the issue is you know, the live stream question. Let me tell you something about live stream question answers. Live stream question answers, I don't want live stream to take the role of learning fiqh properly. Learning fiqh, this is not learning fiqh. Like, you guys, I don't do these live streams so that you learn fiqh. The live streams are done so that it answers questions that you have. Right? Now, I know there's some people, like there's some in the audience who just ask questions that just, like, you know, thoughts come in their mind and they just ask the question. Whatever comes into their mind, they just ask and ask and ask, even if they don't kind of really have any sort of interest in that topic. So you have that category of people. Then you have those category of people who are really serious, who have actually studied something and who have these kind of like issues, clarifications that they require regarding certain issues in fiqh. Those are the ones who these sessions are really kind of like properly sort of like designed for, I would say. Then you have a third category who may just for the first time hearing new things, and this to them it's like, whoa, these are like very important things, and these are the people who, you know, want to learn fiqh. So I would say for this category is learn fiqh systematically, study fiqh with someone, because you don't want your whole life just to follow live streams. I mean, that's not a healthy way to try and understand the religion. And the same goes for, you know, like fatwa websites. So you get same, you know, three types of categories, I would say, who look at fatwa websites. Right? Some just go through just to skim through wherever they can see. Some go through because they really are stuck on an issue and they want to find the answer. And some will just try to learn Islam through fatwa websites, which is a very unhealthy thing, right? Because it just creates this patched sort of understanding. And sometimes I might be answering something, but I might be answering it according to a particular question and according to a particular scenario that comes to my mind, right? But then someone might not understand the scenario that I'm talking about and may misconstrue what I'm saying, right? So this is why I personally think people should not be learning, like, you know, their fiqh purely through these live streams. Yes, if you want to learn through these live streams, alhamdulillah, as long as you are you know, not using this as a substitute for learning in a structured fiqh class. Okay, assalamu alaikum. If one reads the translation only of an ayah of sajda, is the sajda tilawah mandatory? There's an ikhtilaf in this. Many of the early Hanafis said yes, because the translation, because the sajda tilawah is necessary because of what the sajda tilawah says. Because in the sajda tilawah, it either says do sajda, or sujudu, irka'u, do ruku, or fall down to the ground, or something like that. So that meaning is still found in the translation. That's what the argument is. So they say that the sajda tilawah is necessary not just because of reciting the verse, it's because of what Allah is saying in there. Allah is saying in the ayah, do sajda. So when you hear that, you should obey Him, whether it's in Arabic or whether it's in English. Others argue no, that the sajda tilawah is a specific Qur'ani hukum. It's a hukum of the Quran. The Quran is in Arabic, so it only applies to Arabic language. Yeah, so that's the other argument. Can you post the proof for this? So I'm gonna have to. Okay, so you want text here? I'll have to look for some text for that. Do you say Bismillah, then Surah Fatiha, then Bismillah again before starting any new surah? And if you were leading Jama'ah and reading out aloud, the Bismillah isn't said aloud just under. So basically, according to Hanafis, when you start your salat, I mean, if you watch my YouTube videos on Kuduri, I've explained this over there. So in Kuduri, I've explained about the starting the salat, and I've explained it's one of the recent videos I've done. So basically, Hanafis say this: when you say Allahu Akbar, you read Thana, Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarak ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir rahmanir rahim, Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Right, that's it. That's the only time you say A'udhu billah, right? Everyone agrees that really. Abu Yusuf has an opinion that he says you could say other rakats, but okay, we're gonna say everyone agrees A'udhu billah is only in the first rakat. First time you say Bismillah. What about Bismillah? So they say Bismillah is sunnah to read with Fatiha, but then it's not sunnah after that. So after that, it's not sunnah. So let's say, for example, I finish Fatiha. وَغَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ آمِنْ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. I don't say Bismillah. In other words, it's not sunnah to say Bismillah there. Yeah, some of the Hanafis say it's considered to be good to say Bismillah, but not sunnah. Right? Because Bismillah in the Quran is to split between two surahs. Right? Split between two surahs. So like, for example, if you want to separate between Tabbat Yada and Qul Huwallahu Ahad, you bring Bismillah in between. It's like a partition. Now when you're reading Salat, you're not doing any partitions. You're just reading Quran. The only reason that it's considered Sunnah with Fatiha is because there's an ikhtilaf among scholars whether Bismillah is part of Fatiha, like Shafi say, or it's not part of Fatiha, like the Hanafi say. So just to be on the safe side, they say you should recite the Bismillah there. And because some of the narrations as well regarding this. So that's it basically. Okay, Salam, can you donate your zakat money towards building an orphanage or poor orphans? So the same goes again. So if you give your money to poor orphans, that's allowed. But what about giving it to an orphanage? So if the orphanage has a trustee and you give your zakat money to the trustee, right? You give trustee, and the trustee spends that money on all the needs of the orphans, like their food and the electricity bills and anything else that's required there. That's allowed as well. Right? So in that sense it would be allowed. But to build an orphanage, let's say for example you just wanted to spend money, build an orphanage and then bring orphans to that, that's not allowed, because that money is not being given to an orphan, number one, or it's not being given to a trustee of the orphan. That's the issue. Okay, next okay, Talha Chowdhury, if someone was reciting reciting a sajda ayah and they repeat the verse twice, for example, would they have to do two sajdas? So if they're in the same sitting, no, they don't have to. And the reason being, they should. Every time you read sajda tilawa, you should do it. But the Hanafis say because it's going to become difficult upon them, because the Hanafis look at the issue of burden. So it's going to become burdensome upon a person who, let's say, memorizing the Quran or something like that, and they have to repeat the verse multiple times. Every time they have to do sajda tilawa. So they say you only have to do it once for multiple recitations of one sajda tilawa. But if you were to read two different places in the Quran, like let's say for example you read one place in Surah A'raf and let's say one place in Surah let's say Alaq, yeah. So these are two. So now you got to do two. But if you read the same one in A'raf, 10 times in the same room, in the same sitting, you only have to do sajda tilawa once for all of them. Abdul, is it conditioned to be fasting for sunnah itikaf? Yes. If one is sick and can't fast, can he or she still do sunnah itikaf? No. So if they're not fasting, Hanafis say that will not be counted sunnah itikaf. Itikaf, a condition for itikaf. It's like, what's a condition for salat is wudu. If you don't have wudu, you can't pray your salat. So imagine, fasting being like wudu for itikaf. Right, so you wouldn't be allowed to. Yeah, I mean, you can do like just a nafil itikaf if you like, but not the sunnah one. Salam Ustaji, been told there's a hadith that if you read Ayatul Kursi for every salah, nothing will be between you and Jannah. Have you heard this? Yes, it comes in Ibn Majah. It's there. So it's after every fard salat. Maktuba. Son Goko, Assalamu alaikum. I was wondering in the mosque, can my 9-year-old daughter stand with me as part of Jamaat? Yes, she can. But ideally, put her onto the side, because little kids, sometimes what happens is they tend to kind of like fidget about and look around, and it distracts other people praying. So best thing to put her onto your side. But if she reaches the age of puberty, then she can't stand with you. Yeah, then she'd have to stand in the women's section behind. Abdul Rahman Ra'ad, won't you upload more videos on learning Quran? Okay, so learning Quran. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people have got back to me about that. Inshallah, after Ramadan, inshallah, I'm going to have to do it. So at the moment in Ramadan, most likely it's going to be difficult. Hopefully, maybe after Ramadan, I'll try to. See, the thing is, each one of these videos I used to make for the learning Quran one would take me about 2 hours to make. So to one video, full, everything. About 2 hours, sometimes maybe 3 hours, depending on which one, to make the whole thing. So like planning it, practicing it, and then recording it, and then editing it, and then rendering it, and then uploading it. So it takes me about that long. And in Ramadan at the moment, because my schedule is quite packed, it becomes difficult for me to be able to dedicate time to that. Maybe I can do a few in Ramadan, but inshallah after Ramadan I'll try to do a bit more consistently, because a lot of people have got back to me about that. Should one fast 1 or 2 days after Eid for 6 days? I don't understand. Should one fast 1 or 2 days? No, you don't have to. It's up to you. So if you want to fast, you can fast. If you don't want to fast, you don't have to fast. It's not necessary. Shaykh Jazakallah Khair, you're welcome. Abdul, can a woman do nafal i'tikaf in a state of menstruation, i.e. making intention of sitting in musalla and doing dhikr? Yes, but this wouldn't be considered i'tikaf. Right, it wouldn't be considered i'tikaf. It would just be considered a seclusion. Right, so I understand what's happening over here. What's happening is basically because, let's say for example, let's say I can't go to the mosque, for instance, mosques are locked. I want to replicate that feeling, that kind of action that I do in the mosque. I want to replicate it over in my house. Can I do that or not? So in Islam, well, technically no, you can't. If an ibadah has been specified in a particular location, you're not allowed to do it anywhere else. For example, like tawaf. Let's say going around the Kaaba 7 times around the Kaaba. It's just such an amazing feeling. I feel so close to Allah. But I can't go Makkah. So what I do is, I make, let's say in a sports hall, I make myself some sort of like a resembling object in the middle of the sports hall, the Kaaba. And I start going around that 7 times. And I do it with the intention that I want to, at least feel that same sort of like feeling over there. So would that be allowed? So no, it would not be allowed at all. Not allowed at all. Unless it was done for practice purposes, to get yourself used to how to do it in Makkah. Like some people, like a sort of like a mock tawaf they're doing. Otherwise it wouldn't be allowed. So this kind of a feeling when a person wants to, let's say, do i'tikaf in the house because they can't do the mosque, it's not allowed. Why do the Hanafis allow it for women then? Why do the Hanafis allow women to do i'tikaf in the house if it's supposed to be in the mosque? Because they say that women can't go to the masjids anyway, as in there's no facilities there for them, and therefore in the homes it's the sort of like second best option. So they're restricted to this only. Nafal i'tikaf is to do with the masjid itself. So there's no sort of a substitute for mosque i'tikaf. Besides the Hanafi giving the permission for the women to do sunnah i'tikaf, anything besides that there's no permission for. And this is simply because, the idea is not to seclude yourself. The idea is seclude yourself in a masjid. The masjid environment has this impact on a person. So this is why, like for example, some people might try to replicate all sorts of things that people do. Yeah. But it doesn't necessarily mean, let's say for example, someone says, I want to replicate the fast of Ramadan outside of Ramadan. It doesn't matter how much you fast, you can't replicate the reward of Ramadan, the barakah of Ramadan. You can't replicate all of that. That's something specific from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, Zakiya, which books stand out to you are good for sarf nahu from intermediate to advanced? So because this is not a question that I'm going to answer, you're going to have to ask this after Ramadan, inshallah. Angela Smith, what was your subject of talk you gave, and did you record it? Which talk was this? If you can tell me which talk. I've given quite a few talks. Chasing supercars. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What is the sunnah to recite after fard salat? Why do people make group prayer after salat? So this is a good question. So basically, after the salat, we know that the Prophet ﷺ, on various occasions, he did various du'as. So for example, Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam, tabarak ya al jalal al-ikram, astaghfirullah, 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 Allahumma la man lima a'taytu la muti manat. And maybe on some occasions Ayatul Kursi, maybe on some occasions Tasbihat, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah. So now the question comes, is that, can I read Quran after Salat? Like, it's not come anywhere in Hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, after he gave Salam, he started reading Quran. So let's say someone says, after every Salat, I want to read Quran. Right? Is that allowed? Are we going to say it's allowed? Or for example, like let's say after Salat, someone says, I want to just say Subhanallah 100 times. Or someone says, I just want to make dua. Right? And then maybe someone says, I want to make dua and I want to get other people to say Ameen as well. So as long as a person does not believe that this is something that is a necessary part of, like I've explained this type of thing in that video I've made on bid'ah, on innovation. I explained that over there. As long as a person doesn't believe that this is an integral part of the religion, and this is proven from the religion that we have to do it in this way, and if you don't do it in this way, you don't get the same reward. So as long as a person believes that this is not necessary to do, it's not necessary to make a dua after salat, it's not necessary to do in a group or etc., then it's fine. But if a person believes that it is necessary and there's a specific type of reward attached to it, and if you don't do it you get sin, then that goes into the realm of innovation. SMB, can you do sajda sahu in qada salat? And should you say Subhanallah 3 times witr, third rakat? I don't understand. Can you do sajda sahu in qada salat? Yes. And should you say Subhanallah 3 times witr, third rakat, qada salat? I don't understand. Sorry, I don't understand the second part. But nowadays, women put moisturizer, toner, concealer, then foundation on face, so it's a lot of layers, and also waterproof mascara exists. Would you need to remove all? No, you wouldn't need to. Waterproof mascara, maybe. I mean, it depends how it kind of like works. Exactly which part of the eye is put on. Is it put on the skin or is it put on inside of the eye? But the creams, it doesn't matter, because we know that having like grease on your hands and having, you know, like these kind of things are fine, the fuqaha say. So these creams are not creating a barrier. It's like the fuqaha had a discussion, which is what becomes a barrier, like on your skin, what becomes a barrier. So let's say you've had some, you know, nice greasy food or something, and your hands are covered with like this yellow kind of grease or whatever, and now you know you can't get this off, right? Or you can get it off, but it's gonna take a long time. Can you do wudu? It's fine. The fuqaha say it's fine. It's proven from Sahaba that, you know, they prayed like this. So what's a barrier then? So the barrier seems to be something which is very strong, which is different from your skin. Yeah, so it has to be very specific. For hifz, when memorizing the sajda part, does he require sajda tilawah? Yes. Muhammad Raqib al-Sheikh, what does it mean, dahaha? Yeah, dahaha means, like, you know, a volcano when it starts to spurt lava and it starts to go spread over the volcano and goes and starts to create like a layer. That's called daha. So it like comes out and it starts to spread. Daha. So wal-arda ba'da dhalika dahaha. Dahaha means that the earth began to spew out and it began to spread like that. Okay. SMB, is witr salat different salat to isha, as in are they connected? It's a different salat. Yeah, it's a different salat. The student of wisdom, assalamu alaikum ustad. The question I have is there an Arabic dictionary that we can use comprehensively to understand the Quran in regards to words and letters in the Quran? Yes, there are a few. If you go to a website called Ejtal, 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 and there's loads of dictionaries there. Some few Quran ones there as well. So check those out. They're very good. Bilal family, assalamu alaikum. How do we affect change in society, or do we continue doing our own actions in the way society will change? Good question. So we should obviously, as Muslims, we are obliged to not allow oppression to happen in front of us. The Prophet ﷺ said, if anything bad happens, then you should change it with your hands. And if you can't change it with your hands, at least speak up against it. And if you can't speak up against it, at least feel that it's bad in your heart. Right? That's the Muslim should do that. And a Muslim should also do things in the community which are going to benefit the society as well. Like, for example, setting up a government, having masajid, setting up an education system, having organizations that facilitate for Muslims to be able to worship Allah. All these kind of things are things which Muslims should try to endeavor towards. Right? So this is something that we should be doing. And there should also be certain groups at a fard kifaya level that should be doing other things as well. So fard kifaya means it's a communal obligation. So as long as a few people in the world are carrying this out, the obligation is uplifted from everyone else. So for example, studying knowledge is a communal obligation. As long as there's a few people in the community that are doing it, alhamdulillah. Or for example, like spreading Islam, yeah, giving da'wah, fard kifaya at that level. And likewise, if there's like a war going on and there's a Muslim army that is standing up against the enemy, as long as they're doing it, then this is fard kifaya. So yeah, so this is a very like a big topic. This is because there's so many different dimensions to talk about. The student of wisdom, I use the Handsware, and I do believe that I need to look into previous Arabic poems as well to see how certain words. Handsware is not a very good dictionary. I would say Handsware should only be a student's dictionary for the first 1 or 2 years. That's it. After that, you should not rely on Handsware. Only now and again, unless you're looking for a word that you don't know how to say in English. Handsware is written by a Nazi supporter basically. He was a non-Muslim. He obviously, the Arabic in there is designed for modern, classical, modern Arabic, and it's not really for classical Arabic. So I would only use Handsware as a sort of like a kind of dictionary for like a beginner's dictionary. The student of wisdom, therefore, would you say it's important to learn previous Arabic poems for education purposes to understand the Arabic language? Definitely. If you want, have you seen my video on the difference between ba and fi? Watch that. And that is basically how you understand Arabic classically. So classical understanding of Arabic, by learning the poems, you're learning how Arabs spoke then. You're not learning the poems because, it's like entertainment, nasheeds. You're learning the poem simply because you want to understand more precisely how the Quran says things, right? Instead of having a blurry meaning. It's like if someone uses Handsware to read the Quran, it's like someone having very bad vision. Reading the Quran can see kind of things, bad vision. If someone reads classical poetry, and when I say classical poetry, you have to read lots of it, like 3, 4, 5,000 poems. Then your vision becomes very clear, like you become, HD vision. Okay. SMB, did the Prophet ﷺ command his companions to teach others without any wage? Yes. That's what. In fact, the classical Hanafi position is that teaching the Quran and being an imam and being a muaddin should be done free of charge without any wage. But the problem is that the governments in them days were funding the teachers. So every teacher had a fund. So someone could study by a teacher for free of charge. So in them days, that's what they had. The governments had teachers, let's say, for example, in Birmingham or in London or in Manchester, they had many teachers that were funded by the government. They were given a wage. And then they'd have classes in the masajid. And then people would attend those classes and study. That's how it was. So it's free of charge. No one needs to charge. But then what happened is the government stopped funding. So the later Hanafis said, now, because government stopped funding, if the scholars now have to go and look for a job to sustain themselves, who's going to be teaching? Like, we need experts. And if these experts, an expert, let's say, for example, in hadith, he's going to go and start doing carpentry, or he's going to go and start doing some other job. We won't be able to. So if they can suffice themselves with whatever means they have, then they shouldn't take money. But if they need to, then they're allowed to take money for the time that they're giving. Maliki's and Shafi's position is permissible from the early years. They say it's permissible for a person to take money for teaching the Quran. Okay. Salam Mufti. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you abundantly for all the great work you do. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. May Allah reward you guys. May Allah, show you kindness for the, nice words that you guys say to me. Can you please explain this concept that if someone is not Sahib Nisab, yet they own things which are over their basic needs to the value of 612 grams of silver, you can't give them zakat, but most people own things which are over their basic needs. How can we find anyone to give zakat? So basically, when we say basic needs in Islam doesn't mean as long as you got a roof over your head and as long as you got one pair of clothes. That's not basic needs. Basic needs is anything that you use, basically. As long as you use it, even if it's a few times in the year, right? It's in your basic needs. Anything. Let's say you got in your shed, you got some tools there, and those tools you might not even use all year round, except for that one-off kind of, but the tools are quite expensive. Are those basic needs? Yes, they're basic needs. So when we say basic needs, Hawaj Asliya, like some people misunderstand this and they think basic needs just means like you see an image of a poor person, they got a roof over their head and they got one pair of clothes too and they got some food for the day. That's not basic. That's like poverty, that is. So you could have a Ferrari and that's your basic need. You could have a mansion, it's your basic need, right? So the idea of basic needs is whatever you need to run your life. So what is non-basic need then? Anything non-basic need is something that you don't even need, that you don't need at all. So like you got 2 cars, one you don't even need at all, you don't even use it, right? There's no need for it. That would be it. Hawaj Ghair Asliya, right? Let's say you got 3 cars. One is for personal use, one's for, let's say for example another member of the family, and one's for work. That's your basic needs, still your basic needs. Does that make sense? So again, you don't have to go into this kind of like Sherlock Holmes mode and try to investigate what everyone has, because that would make giving zakat extremely difficult for people. There are people in the UK that live in nice houses, that have a nice car, but they are still eligible to receive zakat, right? Because they may have lots of debt, right? Which is more than encompassing the assets. So that's what you have to remember. And I think a lot of people get this confused. And they think that basic needs means something which is extremely basic, and that's not the case. Okay, for sunnah itikaf for a woman, if she decides to do it in the corner of a house for the last 10 days, I understand that the fast is a condition. Okay, I think I answered this one already. Is a condition that a woman to be pure from menstruation to do nafil itikaf? I answered this one. I have a humidifier in my room. Will inhaling the smoke from it? No, it won't. As long as you don't put your mouth on the humidifier, like take a deep breath in, then that will break your fast. But if you got it in your room and it's kind of just giving off smoke or steam, that's fine. It's like taking a shower. Lots of steam in the bathroom. You're definitely going to go into your lungs, but it's something unavoidable. But if you deliberately, go to a certain part and you try to inhale the smoke, then that would break your fast. Okay. If someone is reciting Quran in front of me and she recites an ayah of sajda requiring sajda tilawah, but I didn't know that it was an ayah of sajda, is the sajda one? If you didn't know, it's not. But once you know, then you have to do it. Can you explain Surah 13 verse 17 please? No. SMB, you have the most random questions I think anyone asks. Either, I don't know, either you're very, very interested in Islam or you have a very good imagination. So I can't answer this one yet because I know this can take time and I've looked it up after Ramadan, inshallah. Remind me after Ramadan. If you still remember that question, that is. If a girl is on her days of menstruation and the entire family is praying together, can she stand in the back and pretend to pray? No, she can't. Yeah, look, what we have to remember is, what if Islam tells us you can't do something, right? You can't do it, right? You can't just try and, think to yourself, look, let me try to replicate their actions to get the benefits of it. No, there is no such thing as that. A woman menstruating is getting the full reward as though she's praying in her state of menstruation. That's what you have to remember. A menstruating woman obeys Allah when she doesn't pray. Imagine that. When she doesn't get up for Fajr, she is obeying Allah. A menstruating woman is obeying Allah when she doesn't fast. She gets the full reward, as a person who is fasting, if her intention was to fast. Yeah, so this is a beautiful thing about Islam. So I know there are going to be some people out there, like I'll give you the example of the tawaf one, right? That some people are just going to want to create their own sort of like tawaf kind of miniature thing. MK, Assalamu alaikum. Are the orphanage, regarding the orphanage answer, zakat has to be given to the poor's milkiyat. How does a trustee overcome this? So the way the trustee overcomes this basically is the trustee becomes a wakil on behalf of the orphans, right? So it becomes like a trustee. And when you have a trustee, like for example, the Quran mentions about the orphans and says that, you know, their money, the wakil is allowed to use it. The person, the wali, is allowed to use it according to what they see best for the yatim. Does that make sense? So it comes under wakala. Yeah, so it's a wakala. And they use this kind of setup in Muslim countries in hospitals. So let's say, for example, in Pakistan, for example, there's some hospitals when I was there that you can give your zakat money to, and they have like a department trust. So that trust is basically when a sick person comes and they have to buy medicine, they sign a document saying that we, make you the wakil and you spend the money as you see fit. So what they'll do is they'll take the medicines and they'll give them the medicines, right? And that will be like a wakala, and they'll pay the doctor's fees from that. So this is what they call the wakala system. And National Zakat Foundation actually bases a lot of their work on the wakala system. SMB, can jinns come from in human form? Okay, again, after Ramadan. Nickname Ustad, which book would you like to recommend on fiqh for beginners? It depends. Do you know Arabic? Is it English? If you know Arabic, Fiqh al-Muyassar is a very good book to start with. Nur al-Idah is a very good book to start with. Angela Smith, the one you did after last live. Oh yeah, the Zakat one, Zakat. So yeah, if you go to National Zakat Foundation, Foundation's Facebook or Twitter page, it should be there. Should be recorded. S. Hussein, about giving charity during Ramadan. Some people say give a little each day to get a reward every day. But is there a difference between, let's say, giving £1 every day or £30 once for the whole month? So you see, this is a good question. Excellent question, I think. And I think I should talk about this one. The idea that you have over here is that when it comes to, like, for example, like specific sort of virtues that we hear, that when a person gives in the month of Ramadan or he gives on Laylatul Qadr, he gets this much reward, etc. So what tends to happen is that some people would naturally want to try and be very, very specific in their rewards. Like they're kind of like mapped out exactly how they want all their rewards. And in one of the podcasts, I actually talked about this, which was the idea of, trying to formalize the way we act upon the Sharia. Like, some people in Ramadan have a whole sheet they print out, and every single day they want to check how much ibadat that they've done and how much good they've said and how much sins they've stayed away from. And that's nothing wrong with that. It's not necessarily the way Sahaba did things. Like, it's not like we don't get this from them, that they were so sort of like, what's the word for it, man? Structured, or I don't know, formalized in that way. So the same thing happens when it comes to reward. So someone hears about reward and they want to try to give, I want to get the reward of Jummah in Ramadan, Laylatul Qadr. So they try to find this specific time and they're trying to give their charity on that time to boost it. Or like some charities now have set up this kind of thing where you send them your charity and they will distribute the charity according to the odd nights. I don't know if you heard of that one. Yeah. So what I would say is, look, at the end of the day, Allah thinks of a person as the person thinks of Allah. So if you think that, look, Allah will reward me if I give all my money now, there's a person who's in need and they really need money now, and I want to give my money over the month of Ramadan, but this guy needs it and I just give it to them, and you have this hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will reward you, inshallah. Yeah, Allah is Kareem, Allah is, we don't have to be so nitty gritty when it comes to how we deal with Allah's rewards. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bighayri hisab, Allah says. He gives bighayri hisab. So I don't have an issue with people formalizing the ahkam in the Sharia and these kind of like, how we sort of like approach. What I kind of think is this shouldn't be imposed on everyone else, right? So for example, if you want to get close to Allah, you're going to get close to Allah only as far as what the Sahaba used to do, right? You can't get any more closer to Allah than what the Sahaba did. Right? So this is the best way ever. So this is why I feel, personally, I feel that a person should be left to do it. But if a person feels that they work better when they are, they have a structured sort of schedule, and they have everything planned out for them, and they follow this specific plan, I think very, very well, go for it, do it. If it works for you, alhamdulillah, do it. But you can't think that you're better than the other person. Yeah, if you do more actions, then clearly you get more reward, but it doesn't mean you're better than the other person in how they practice Islam. Hani, can you pray with the nail polish, especially the breathable type? I would say no, because I've checked the breathable type one, and I found out that it's depending on how much layers you put on, it doesn't fulfill the criteria for water passing over the nail. So scientifically, when they say breathable, that's different from according to fiqh when they say water has to pass over. That's where they get confused. So when people say breathable nail varnish or halal nail varnish, there's a confusion that they have. They don't realize what the fiqh is saying. Fiqh is not saying it has to be breathable, right? Because, if you were to pour, let's for example, if you had clothing on and you pour water over your clothing's breathable, but it doesn't mean that your wudu's done, right? If water doesn't get underneath and touch the skin, your wudu's not done. So this is where there's a misconception. I think a lot of people need to understand this. A lot of women who have, end of the day, it's just another company that wants to sell a product. They don't want to provide for the community. What they want to make money. So they know there's lots of Muslim women out there, practicing women, who do their wudu and all that, and they don't wear our varnish. So what we'll do is we'll provide something else so that we're making money from them. That's what it is at the end of the day. Edie what is riwaya turuk wuju in terms of qiraat? Okay, again, after Ramadan. Lane's lexicon is a good Arabic dictionary. Aliyu, when praying Isha, when getting up to sit in the second rakat, my brother who was in Imam accidentally got up but not fully standing and went back down immediately. Is the prayer valid? Yes, the prayer should be valid. S. Hussein, I didn't know that about handswear. I use it a lot. Yeah, handswear is what's it? Nazi. Ford, the Volkswagen's a Nazi car. So if you got a Volkswagen, a lot of people have Volkswagens. Muhammad Raqibul, which dictionary and tafsir would recommend, Sheikh? I would recommend Ruh al-Ma'ani, Tafsir Abu Sa'ud, Tafsir al-Razi, Al-Bahr al-Muhit, Al-Tahrir wa-Tanwir, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Al-Qurtubi, basically all of them. Shafat Khan, Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling regarding Sadaqah Fitr and how to give it in present situation? So Sadaqah Fitr basically is a Sadaqah which okay, by the way, next week I might not have a live stream. Just stay tuned in the week. I might not have a live stream next week. I'll see, inshallah, because I've got a talk next week at 6 o'clock, and then I don't know if I'll be able to do it. And if I do, I might have it a bit earlier then, and I have to have it earlier. Sadaqah Fitr is basically, the Prophet ﷺ said that when Ramadan finishes, that you should give Sadaqah Fitr, and he mentioned 4 different items, right? Wheat and barley and dates and raisins. And he mentioned a certain amount, right? He said you give this to the poor. And in today's terms, the values vary from about £2 to about £15, I would say, depending on price fluctuations, depending on what item you get. So generally mosques will say they're collecting, £5 or £4 or £10, whatever they say. That's based upon the value of these 4 food items. So you give that to the poor, right? So anyone who has, the nisab, threshold, about £250, Hanafis say they have to give it. It's only for adults. Children don't give it. And ideally you give it before Eid. So you can give it like even now. You can start giving your Sadaqat al-Fitr now. Right, and it's a good thing, and I generally do that as well. So these charity organizations are collecting. I just send my Sadaqah al-Fitr to people who I need, or maybe someone who I know locally. I'll give it to them. London, don't you think we should pay Islamic teachers high salary in order to attract talent? E.g. Ibn Rushd, polymath individuals are going into the more financially rewarding dunya. Yes, I totally agree with this. I mean, personally, I think, we are lacking seriously in good scholarship. I'm not talking about speakers, online speakers and celebrity speakers. That's not scholarship, that is. And that's just sort of like motivation, that is. True scholarship, we need true scholarship in Aqidah, in English. We need true scholarship in hadith, true scholarship in fiqh, true scholarship. When I say true scholarship, like at a very high level. And I mean, I know the situation that we are in. There are very, very few really good, talented, amazing scholars of fiqh in the UK. Very few talented, amazing scholars of hadith. Very few, extremely few, not enough. And one of the main reasons is because there's no incentive behind it. Because a lot of people, if they go into studying alim course, either they don't know what they're getting themselves into, right, and then they get burnt out. And at the end of that, they don't really can't do anything. They go into a job that's got nothing to do with learning about the religion. Or number two is that someone goes into this sort of like area, and then eventually after that they go into an area that's quite lucrative, like for example Islamic finance, very lucrative, right? But then that might be like sort of like benefiting a certain sector, but then there's lots of people who are not benefiting. Like, you know, subhanallah, imagine this, imagine like the channel that I've set up, Roots of Knowledge. Imagine there was 10 other channels like this. I wish there was, you know, honestly, wallahi, I wish that just like Roots of Knowledge, there were 10 other channels like this, and they were working honestly and they were working sincerely to provide excellent content for the masses. Imagine there was a Maliki fiqh. You could learn Maliki fiqh inside out through this, or you could learn Hanbali fiqh, or you could learn Shafi'i fiqh, or you can learn Aqidah and Tafsir, and you can go to anything you want, and this was all available. Imagine you had all of that, and imagine you had excellent maktab systems for kids, and imagine you had excellent adult systems for teaching adults, and imagine you had excellent Islamic channels that provided, you know, wholesome, good content, right? You know, we'd be sorted. But the problem is that they don't have the funding, right? That's sadly, and you know, working on this concept of doing things for the sake of Allah free of charge. Everyone does things for the sake of Allah, end of the day, right? And when people say, oh, they should do it for free, I think that person is the most foolish person in the entire world. They would never do anything for free themselves, right? Except for one or two things. Then why are they trying to make force upon other people to do things free of charge? Doesn't make sense. Yes, I totally agree with this. I think this is something maybe in one of the podcasts we could talk about this in the podcast, about this idea and the harms. I mean, the real life harms that is causing our society and our generations, where youth and youngsters have no confidence in the scholarship anymore, because what is there out there? Which course did you do at uni? I didn't go uni. Okay, Hani Tessie, can you pray with a stick on nails? Can you play with a stick on nails if you put them after getting wudu? Stick on nails. Yeah, so I don't know how the stick on nails works. So if the stick on nails are creating a barrier between your nails, right, you can't do wudu on top of that. If you've done your wudu and then you put your nail varnish on, then it's fine. But the problem is when you have to do your wudu again, you'll have to take them off. Athar, how to learn tajweed quickly? Suggest some ways in lockdown. Allah knows best. I don't know any fast track ways, guys. I mean, if you check my YouTube channel, whatever, you can learn from there. Best thing about tajweed is you have to study from someone. Abdul, Ustad, I mean, can the menstruating woman pretend to pray Taraweeh so her brothers and fathers don't question why she is not praying, so she doesn't have to explain? That one. See, this is a tricky one, this is, because I know sometimes what happens is in families, you know, the men don't know the rulings of the women. They don't know about menstruation. And then what tends to happen is they kind of like have suspicion about the female folk who are not fasting, who are not praying their salats. If it's that kind of a situation and they were doing it, I don't see a problem with that. But long term, I think they need to learn about this. So maybe send them a video about menstruating or something, about, you know, the rules of menstruation, forward it to them, or get someone else to forward it to them and make them watch it. Because end of the day, the men need to know the rulings about these kind of things. Because a lot of women, I know, sometimes a woman might not eat at home because she feels scared, embarrassed, that what if someone else sees me and thinks that I'm not fasting out of disobedience to Allah, yeah, and starts making fun of me. So unfortunately, these kind of, I understand that Hani, can you pray or fast with plaited hair with extensions if you can get wudu with it? Yes. Abdul Razak Sheikh, what about you do good deeds and you commit visual zina? Will your sins vanish? Hopefully, inshallah. Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. As long as a person feels deep inside that what they watched was something really bad, and they would feel disgusted if the Prophet ﷺ was standing next to them and they watched it, or they would be disgusted if they stood in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, then Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. Shadi Mufti Sahib, I have some missing prayers, so should I make my prayers up in Qiyam or Nawafil? Missing prayers. In the last 10 days of Ramadan, should I pray my missing prayers Laylatul Qadr? Yes. Maryam, Assalamu alaikum. I was wondering if it's okay to wipe over cotton material socks when making wudu. I heard something about leather socks being okay. So Hanafis say that the non-leather socks have to be thick enough so that you can walk in them 3 miles. So as long as you can walk in them 3 miles without them tearing, then it's fine to wipe over them. But if they will tear, or you fear that they will tear, then no, you can't wipe over them. Please keep us updated next week's Q&A via Facebook. Inshallah. So you guys will know by Friday, inshallah. By Friday you should know. Ahl al-Haq Sunnah, can women make up their fast using 6 Sunnah fasts after Ramadan? I think I'll make a video on this. A lot of people ask this question, inshallah. So I'll make a video hopefully, inshallah. Murt, Assalamu alaikum brother. Your course on Uruq Fiqh, is that on Fiqh on Aqidah too? And is that course inside out? I would like to purchase it. Usul Fiqh you mean? Usul Fiqh is only to do with Usul Fiqh. Hanafi Usul Fiqh is 28 lessons of it, and I go through how the Hanafis use the language of the Quran, or they use other means, the Sunnah, Ijma, Qiyas, to be able to extract rulings from ayats and ahadith. And how much is the course? The course is, I can't remember, I'm going to have to check. You'd have to check on there. Isn't the price mentioned there? Price should be mentioned there. Yeah, I mean the price should be there. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to check. The email, there's an email at the bottom. If you contact the email at the bottom here on the screen, there's someone should be able to help you with that information, inshallah. Athar, what do you think about Tafsir al-Quran by Dr. Israr? I've listened to some of it. MashaAllah, Dr. Israr Ahmad was a mufakkir, was a very a deep individual, yeah, and wish that there was other people out there as well that had a very deep understanding of society and how to present the teachings of the Quran to the people like this. You find very few people historically like that. Is biting nails and swallowing accidentally break the fast? Will it require kafara or qada only if broken? No, if a person bites the nails and swallows them, it will necessitate kafara, qada, no kafara. Yeah, there wouldn't be any kafara, because kafara is only necessary when a person consumes something which is wholesome, like nutritious for their body, or medicinal. Shafali Begum, wa alaikum salam. I haven't caught up my missed fast due to menstruation over the past couple of years. Will I be punished? I always plan to make them up before the next Ramadan. No, you won't be punished for delaying them. No, you won't be punished. The majority of the Hanafis say you won't be punished for it, but try to make them up as best as possible, inshallah. Maybe utilize the short days in winter, inshallah, for this. So jazakallah khair, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. MashaAllah. I know today the questions on the screen have been a bit awkward. I don't know, I'm gonna have to sort that out. But yeah, if you wear mascara and do wudu, is wudu valid? So if the mascara is a water resistant one, if it's like not waterproof, then it would stop I would say that it would stop the wudu from being valid, right? And depends where the mascara exactly put on. If it's put on the skin, or if it's put on the inside of the eye. If it's put on the inside of the eye, then it would be okay. But if it's put on the skin, then no. Okay, wa iyyakum, jazakumullah khair. And inshallah, tomorrow is going to be the Surah Yasin, 2 p.m. inshallah. So you can join us for that, inshallah. And hopefully Monday, inshallah, we've got another podcast. And inshallah, we're going to be bringing on Brother Yahya from Haludi Foodie, who is I think he's a Michelin, one of those Michelin star chefs. Yeah, so he's like really supposed to be very good. And he's actually, Brother Altaf's told me about him. He has his own sort of like, he has a food club you know, one of these kind of posh food clubs where you have to kind of book in advance, many weeks in advance, and then there's like it's quite high fee, but then you get the whole course and everything's made specifically from, you know, original ingredients, handmade, everything. One of those ones, yeah. But he's a Muslim, he's a very practicing brother, alhamdulillah. And inshallah, I'd love to meet him, inshallah. And if you guys have questions as well, you know, you guys can even possibly ask questions about it, inshallah, as well. Mascara goes on eyelashes, eyeliner goes on inner skin. Okay. Yeah, so oh, is that how it works? Yeah, see, I don't even know exactly how these things. These kind of questions, personally, I think, you know, these kind of makeup and female related questions, I would really wish if there's an expert female scholar who can actually answer all these questions, because women know women's situations, and I personally think men answering these kind of questions isn't doing it justice, because we as men are very limited to how much we know about the new types of makeups that have come out. Right, and you kind of women, you guys know all types of makeups, like under the sun, whatever's new, whatever's you know, top of the range, you guys know all about that. So yeah, jazakallah khair, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and you know, inshallah, I will see you guys next time. Check out the videos. If you haven't subscribe, hit a like as well, and if you haven't seen the videos I've been putting up so far, I've got the 40 hadith videos that I put up every day in Ramadan. In the weekdays, I put up Liaquat 2.0, so you can check that out as well. Just a little bit of a light, sort of like a pre-iftar kind of thing. And yeah, and the recent one I've done is the difference between ba and fi. What did you guys think of that video? The ba and the fi, the difference between them in the Quran. Do you guys think that would be a good idea to continue that, maybe do more in detail? And if there's any other suggestions that you guys might have of any other sort of series or videos that I should cover, please let me know, inshallah, in the comments. That's it, guys. Jazakallah khair. Hani, jazakallah, barakallah feek. Abu Bakr, mashallah, jazakallah khair for your kind words. Yeah, men I definitely agree. You know, I personally think I would really wish if there was really good female scholarship, and this goes back to the issue of funding as well. You know, I guarantee you, if there was, you know, a good funding system, I think that there would be very high capable female scholars who'd be able to, you know, do these kind of things. But at the moment, it's like, you know, very, very difficult for them, because, you know, trying to get a job or get, you know, go university, and then having to you know, juggle family life as well. It's very difficult for women, I think. But yeah, definitely, I think there should be women who are able to answer these questions. Okay, so jazakallah khair, guys. Thank you very much for all your questions, and inshallah I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.